मेरा देश विकसित देश होगा, डेवलप कंट्री होगा, विकास के हर पैरामीटर में।
The video discusses India's potential for becoming a developed economy and compares its growth prospects to those of China. It basically talks about three different scenarios that could play out for India's growth in the future, depending on different factors. We will also shed light on four things we need to keep in mind when thinking about India's overall growth prospects. The simulations indicate that India's economy could reach $5 trillion by 2029-30 and $10 trillion by 2041-42, becoming an upper middle income country, but still far from becoming a developed economy by mid-century under the World Bank per capita income classification. Sustaining a 7% growth rate will not be easy, especially after India's recent growth deceleration, which fell below 4% in 2019-20 and was followed up by one of the sharpest declines in GDP during the COVID year of 2020-21. Forward-looking growth trajectories, comparison, and China. Current scenario. India's national income is currently where China was in 2006-2007. But China has moved ahead of India by about 3 decades. India's per capita income was about 38% of China's in 2006-2007, but now it's just 18%. China continues to grow at a higher rate than India, and India grows at its current rate of 5.9%. India will reach China's current level of $17 trillion only around mid-century. Optimistic scenario. If China's growth rate slows to 4% and India continues to grow at 5.9%, India's economic weight relative to China's would increase from 18% to 40% by mid-century. Over-optimistic scenario. If India grows at 8 to 9% consistently for 2 to 3 decades, it can become geopolitically significant and at least a rook in the geopolitical chessboard. If India grows at 8% consistently, it would become an upper middle income country by 2033-2034 and reach China's current economic size by 2043-2044. Ernst & Young have projected that the size of the Indian economy would be $25 trillion by 2047. India's growth environment, 4 caveats. Number 1. India's high growth rate should be compared to its potential and development stage. India's growth rate is high by global standards, but India is a developing nation with a low per capita income, so its growth rate may not be sustainable. Number 2. To reap its demographic dividend, India needs to invest in social capital. India must invest in social capital like education and healthcare. If not, India could fall into the middle income trap like many Latin American nations that aged before becoming rich. Number 3. India needs to fix its manufacturing sector. India's manufacturing sector has historically struggled, which hinders its ability to use its large domestic market to grow. Number 4. India needs a clear strategic plan to become a global player. Unlike China, India does not have a clear strategic plan for building world-class expertise and dominance in sunrise sectors like AI. Due to its demographic dividend and geopolitical opportunities, India can outgrow China with decisive policy interventions. India cannot afford lost decades as it risks falling behind China and becoming a middle-income state without external demand. India must use its size and domestic market to close the gap with China. China is currently cushioning its growth decline as it faces headwinds.